Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All-Star Athlete Podcast. My name is Justin Hebert, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today for episode 2 of our 10-part series on the fundamentals of mental performance. If you've been following along, in the first episode, we discussed the power of growth mindset and motivation, two fundamental concepts that can transform how you approach performance in sports and life. Today, we're diving into another crucial area, stress and anxiety management. These two are often intertwined, but affect athletes in distinct ways, which is why we're breaking them down separately to better understand and manage each. In this episode, we'll look at real-world examples of athletes who have battled stress and anxiety, the differences between the two, and most importantly, strategies you can implement to manage them in your own life. Whether you're an athlete, a coach, or even someone who faces pressure in everyday life, the techniques we'll discuss today will help you stay focused and composed under pressure. Stress and anxiety are often inevitable in high-pressure environments, but they don't have to control you. Today's episode will give you the tools to not only cope with these feelings, but also to transform them into something constructive. To kick things off, let's look at some examples of athletes who have faced stress head-on. Let's start with LeBron James, one of the most accomplished basketball players of all time. During his career, LeBron has had to face immense pressure and expectations. These expectations began before he was even drafted into the league and have followed him over the course of his career. However, the pressure that he faced was especially high during the 2011 NBA Finals when his Miami Heat team lost to the Dallas Mavericks. The world had its eyes on LeBron James, expecting nothing but excellence. With the media scrutinizing his every move and fans waiting for him to win his first championship, LeBron experienced intense stress. After that finals loss, he openly admitted that the weight of expectations had gotten to him. He was overthinking, not playing his natural game, and letting external pressures affect his performance. But LeBron didn't let that experience define him. In the offseason, he learned to better manage the stress, focusing more on enjoying the game rather than meeting everyone else's expectations. The next season, LeBron returned with a renewed mindset and led the Miami Heat to an NBA championship, earning his first of many Finals MVPs. Now, let's talk about another professional athlete, Naomi Osaka, one of the brightest young stars in the tennis world. In 2021, Osaka shocked the world by withdrawing from the French Open due to mental health struggles, particularly stress and anxiety from the constant scrutiny of the media. Osaka's situation is a powerful example of how even the most successful athletes can be weighed down by stress. In her case, the stress wasn't just about performing on the court, it was the relentless pressure from the outside world. She made a bold decision to prioritize her mental well-being over competition, starting an important conversation about how we view mental health in sports. Osaka's experience shows that stress can come from all angles, not just from the competition, but also from the expectations of others. Her story reminds us that it's okay to step back when the pressure becomes too much, and it's a reminder that mental health is just as important as physical health. Now, think about times that you've experienced stress, whether it's in sports, at work, or even in school. What were the circumstances? How did you feel? Stress is something that we all experience, but what matters the most is how we respond to it. LeBron James and Naomi Osaka are great examples of athletes who learned to deal with immense stress in their own ways. But their ability to bounce back didn't come by accident. It was the result of self-awareness, reflection, and learning to cope in healthy ways. Now that we've got our mind on some of the best athletes in the world and understand that they experience stress just like the rest of us, and we've seen some of the ways in which they manage that stress, let's break the concept of stress down a bit further. What exactly is stress, and how does it impact athletes? Stress is the body's response to any demand or challenge that disrupts our equilibrium. It can be triggered by external factors like the pressure to perform in a big game, or internal factors like self-imposed expectations. In the context of sports, stress can manifest as pre-game nerves, pressure during a crucial moment, or even burnout after a long season. But while stress can feel overwhelming, it's important to remember that not all stress is bad. In fact, some level of stress can be motivating, pushing you to perform at your best. This leads us to the concept of arousal. Arousal is your body's state of readiness, driven by stress and excitement. It's an athlete's mental and physical activation. Your heart rate increases, adrenaline pumps, and your focus intensifies. Arousal can enhance your performance, giving you the extra energy needed for intense competition. However, there's a balance to be struck. Too little arousal, and you might feel sluggish, lacking the intensity required to compete at a high level. Too much arousal, on the other hand, and it can lead to overexcitement, poor decision-making, and physical mistakes. Think of arousal like tuning a guitar. You need just the right amount of tension for optimal sound. This relationship is known as the inverted U hypothesis, where moderate arousal tends to lead to the best performance, while too little or too much can hinder it. This is why managing stress and moderating arousal are so critical for athletes. When stress becomes chronic or too intense, leading to overarousal, it results in a condition called distress, a harmful form of stress that can diminish your performance. Athletes experiencing distress might find themselves overthinking, losing focus, or feeling physically drained. Over time, it can also lead to burnout, injuries, or long-term mental health struggles like anxiety and depression. In order to prevent stress from becoming debilitating and to keep arousal at an optimal level, athletes must have effective tools for managing these responses. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about several strategies that you can start using today to both regulate stress and arousal. However, keep in mind that these concepts are going to be kept at a very high level and will be covered in much further detail in future podcasts. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to manage both stress and arousal is through controlled breathing. By slowing down your breath and taking deep, mindful breaths, you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body and reduces the fight or flight response associated with stress. This technique also helps to moderate arousal levels by preventing you from becoming overly tense or jittery. Here's something that you can do right now to practice a simple breathing technique known as belly breathing. First, place one hand on your belly so that you can feel it rise and fall. Then, inhale deeply through your nose, allowing your diaphragm to expand as your belly rises, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Focus on drawing air all the way into your abdomen, rather than just shallow chest breathing. This technique helps activate your body's relaxation response, lowering your heart rate and reducing tension. Practicing belly breathing for a few minutes can calm your nerves, regulate arousal levels, and improve your focus before or during competition, helping you to stay centered and perform at your best. Another powerful tool that not only reduces stress, but also helps regulate arousal by mentally preparing you for competition is that of visualization. By visualizing a specific scenario, you're rehearsing the physical, mental, and emotional states you'll experience in real life, which can help you prevent over-arousal during actual competition. For example, Michael Phelps, one of the athletes who we discussed in the previous podcast on growth mindset and motivation, and who is one of the most decorated Olympians in history, used visualization to prepare for almost all of his races. He would mentally go through his races every night before bed, imagining everything from the feel of the water to each stroke he would take. By the time he got to the pool, he had already lived that race in his mind many times over. This technique helped him stay composed and perform under pressure without becoming over-aroused. Another useful tool to have in your belt is that of progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation involves tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups to relieve physical tension caused by stress and over-arousal. Athletes often hold stress in their bodies without realizing it, which can increase arousal levels beyond what's optimal. Progressive muscle relaxation teaches you to recognize and release this tension. If you'd like to try progressive muscle relaxation for yourself, here's a simple activity that you can try to do. Starting from your toes and working your way all the way up to your head, tense each muscle group for about 5 seconds. Then release the tension as you breathe out. This will help relax your body and reset your arousal levels for peak performance. The last couple of techniques that we'll discuss in today's podcast are those of mindfulness and meditation. Developing mindfulness, in other words, being fully present in the moment, helps athletes reduce stress and prevent their minds from wandering to potential failures or other outcomes, which can increase arousal levels unnecessarily. Regular meditation can help athletes achieve mental clarity, improving their ability to regulate both stress and arousal during high-pressure moments. One of the most prominent athletes who regularly utilized mindfulness and meditation was Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, known for his mental toughness and his Mamba mentality, practiced mindfulness and meditation regularly. He would meditate for 10 to 15 minutes before games to center himself and block out distractions, ensuring his arousal levels were at an optimal state for peak performance. Now that we've discussed stress, let's shift gears and talk about anxiety. While stress is typically a response to external challenges, anxiety is more of an internal state, often characterized by excessive worry, fear of failure, and even panic. As we've discussed with previous topics, let's look at a couple of prominent athletes who have struggled with anxiety and how they've managed to cope with it. The first athlete we'll discuss is Simone Biles, who many people in today's society have deemed the GOAT, or greatest of all time, of women's gymnastics. Simone Biles' experience during the Tokyo 2020 Olympics offers a profound illustration of how stress and anxiety in particular can directly impact performance. As a world-class athlete, Biles had mastered not only her physical abilities, but also the mental fortitude required to perform under immense pressure. However, the twisties she experienced were a reminder that even the most prepared athletes are vulnerable to anxiety and its effects on the mind and body. This condition, triggered by overwhelming stress and expectations, impaired her spatial awareness during her routines. A clear example of how heightened anxiety can increase arousal levels to a point where performance is not just compromised, but dangerous. Biles' decision to withdraw from events wasn't just about preserving her safety, it was a public acknowledgement of the importance of managing mental health and anxiety. Her story highlights the necessity of talking openly about these challenges. Athletes, like Biles, are often perceived as invincible, but her experience demonstrates that recognizing and addressing anxiety is key to sustaining long-term success. By managing stress and moderating arousal, athletes can safeguard both their mental and physical well-being, preventing dangerous setbacks in performance. Another well-known athlete who has struggled with anxiety is NBA player Kevin Love. Kevin Love's experience with anxiety, particularly his panic attack during a 2017 NBA game, underscores the silent buildup in stress and anxiety that can occur even in the midst of a highly successful career. Love, who had been performing at an elite level, revealed that the pressure of expectations and internal stress had been mounting for quite some time. His eventual panic attack was a physical manifestation of that anxiety reaching a breaking point, forcing him to confront an issue that many athletes experience but rarely discuss openly. Love's openness about his mental health journey shed light on the importance of addressing stress and anxiety before they manifest physically. His story ties back to the concept of arousal regulation, understanding when your mind and body are overstimulated and finding ways to bring them back into a state of balance. Love's advocacy for mental health emphasizes the fact that no matter how accomplished or seasoned an athlete is, managing stress and arousal levels is essential for sustained peak performance. His experience serves as a critical reminder that mental health is just as important as physical health in high-pressure environments, and athletes need the tools and support to handle both. Both of these examples reinforce the importance of acknowledging and addressing mental health setbacks in athletes. These stories demonstrate how unchecked anxiety and stress can derail even the most seasoned professionals, and why managing arousal levels is crucial to maintaining optimal performance. The ability to recognize and talk about these challenges not only helps individuals, but also breaks the stigma around mental health in sports, encouraging a healthier approach to competition. Anxiety is often confused with stress, but there's a critical difference. Stress is usually tied to a specific external event, like an upcoming competition, and can sometimes even enhance performance. It's generally a short-term emotion and focused on immediate challenges. Anxiety, however, is more internal. It stems from fear, worry, or apprehension about what might happen, and it tends to linger, growing over time. For athletes, anxiety can surface before competitions, in high-pressure moments, or when they're facing uncertainty about their performance. While stress can push an athlete to focus, anxiety can actually do the opposite, derailing both mental and physical abilities. Take Simone Biles at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. She experienced the twisties, a dangerous loss of spatial awareness caused by overwhelming anxiety. Despite being one of the greatest gymnasts, her anxiety disrupted her focus and her body's ability to perform, showing how deeply mental health affects physical performance. Similarly, Kevin Love's panic attack during an NBA game in 2017 was a result of unchecked anxiety building up over time. Love's story highlights how athletes can appear fine on the surface while anxiety slowly grows, eventually leading to a breaking point. His openness about the experience underscores the importance of addressing mental health before it spirals into something bigger. The takeaway here is that anxiety directly impacts performance by pushing arousal levels too high. If athletes don't manage anxiety, it can overwhelm their ability to stay focused and calm under pressure. That's why understanding and addressing anxiety is essential for maintaining optimal performance. Whether you're a professional athlete, an aspiring competitor, or someone who simply enjoys pushing your limits, anxiety can affect your performance just as much as it does for elite athletes. The experiences of athletes like Simone Biles and Kevin Love remind us that mental hurdles are just as real and challenging as physical ones. Understanding anxiety and learning how to manage it isn't just something for the pros. It's vital for anyone looking to perform at their best, no matter the stage. By addressing your own mental health, you're giving yourself the best shot at success both on and off the field. Now that we have a better understanding of anxiety, let's dive into some specific strategies to manage it. First, let's look at a concept called reframing negative thoughts. Anxiety often stems from a negative loop of self-doubt or fear of failure. One powerful technique for managing anxiety is cognitive reframing. In other words, changing how you perceive a situation. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm going to fail," try reframing that thought to something more constructive like, "This is a challenge I'm prepared for." Simply shifting your mindset can reduce anxiety and give you a greater sense of control. Serena Williams has talked about how she reframes her thoughts before a big match. Instead of focusing on the pressure of winning, she tells herself that she's there to do what she loves, and that's just to play tennis. This mental shift allows her to reduce anxiety and focus on the game itself rather than the expectations. Another effective strategy at managing anxiety comes through the power of routine. Establishing a pre-game or pre-competition routine can help you manage anxiety by creating a sense of predictability and control. This routine might include mental preparation, visualization, physical warm-ups, or listening to specific music that calms or energizes you. Rafael Nadal, another one of the greatest tennis players of all time, is known for his meticulous pre-match routine, which includes specific rituals like the way he arranges his water bottles or how he steps out onto the court. These routines help him focus his mind and reduce anxiety by creating a sense of familiarity in an otherwise high-pressure environment. Grounding techniques are another way to bring yourself back to the present moment when you're feeling overwhelmed by anxiety. These techniques involve using your senses to anchor yourself in the here and now. Here's something you can try. When you feel anxiety creeping in, try focusing on 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This helps break the cycle of anxious thoughts by bringing your attention back to your immediate surroundings. Last, but certainly not least, journaling and self-reflection are effective strategies for managing anxiety. Writing down your thoughts can be a powerful way to manage anxiety. By putting your fears and worries onto paper, you can gain perspective and clarity about what's really going on in your mind. Journaling allows you to process emotions, identify patterns, and develop solutions to manage future anxiety. Here's something you can try. After a practice or competition, spend 10 minutes journaling about how you felt before, during, and after the event. Reflect on what caused your anxiety and how you dealt with it. Over time, this practice can help you understand your triggers and develop better coping mechanisms. All right, as we wrap up this episode, here's your challenge for the week. I want you to think back to a recent situation where you felt stressed or anxious. It could be in the context of sports, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe it was related to school, work, or even a personal situation. What were the circumstances that triggered that feeling? How did you react? Take a moment to reflect on how your body felt. Were you tense, breathing rapidly, or feeling physically uneasy? Also, consider your thoughts. Were they racing, or did you feel stuck in a loop of worry? Now, for the challenge. I want you to choose one of the strategies that we discussed today. Whether it's deep breathing, reframing your negative thoughts, or creating a focused pre-performance routine, commit to using this strategy the next time you feel that familiar sense of stress or anxiety creeping in. When it happens, consciously apply the technique and see how it influences your state of mind and your ability to stay calm and focused. At the end of the week, take a few moments to reflect. What did you notice? Did the strategy help you feel more in control, or did you face any challenges in applying it? The goal isn't to get rid of stress and anxiety entirely. That's simply not realistic for anyone. Instead, the aim is to start developing the skills that will help you manage these feelings more effectively so they don't control your performance. As always, I would love to hear how this challenge goes for you. Whether it's a win or a learning experience, feel free to reach out and share your reflections with me, or simply drop a message in the comments section below. Thanks for joining me today on the All-Star Athlete Podcast. I hope you learned a valuable thing or two. Keep working hard, stay focused, and remember that mental performance is just as critical as your physical game. I'll see you next time.